Well, somewhere between 30 million, I can only see where, I can't even see where they, we were at 130 million, but that's.
Connie is for sure in the next one, but I guess I'm really.
Who said this? Then I'll let you guys know Monday or something. Yeah, whenever. Thanks, Mario. She turned up to 64.
Call this meeting to order. Work session for loans.
Jay Pope.
Present.
Aaron Cook. Here. Bill Bruner's absent. Mike Lawrence.
Here.
J.R. Holcraft.
Here.
Leslie.
Here.
Botal, Mayor, and myself.
Bill said be a little late.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
This is basically our organizational meeting since there's never been a committee meeting on the revolving loan fund pursuant to the ordinance that was passed in December. I did get packets to all of you of the loans. There was a request from Mr. Lawrence on all of the loans that were basically outstanding and past loans. Are there some that you don't have after what Jackie gave to you, or were you able to review that last
Those are all the
If this-
open ones.
If this is open,
Yeah. And I gave everybody, Leslie, the same thing that Mike asked for, a list of all the loans, whether they're paid up or behind in their payments, and then the payments schedules that I have on my computer. And I made sure I got a copy of that.
Thank you. I did speak with Dan Hedden at Umball, and he is, they are willing to help us basically get this organized and even monitor the existing loans. There would be an agreement between us and Umball, which would have to actually go through council, I would think, since this is a committee of the common council. Their agreement would be based on time and expense, and they would also give us monthly reports, which I think would be very helpful for the revolving loan fund committee. And I did speak to him about maybe once it's all organized and we have a program that the payments and such can be entered, then we may be able to transition this in-house. Or a financial institution we could transition to, so that we're not paying, not that Umball's not great, that's out there, so we wouldn't be paying, any exorbitant expenses for Umball to continue to monitor all of these loans on a consistent basis. That's totally up to you all, but I wanted to see what he thought our options were as far as them helping us. But definitely, they can review the ones that we have outstanding, figure out what the payoffs are, when they're supposed to be paid off, and, so that we know if someone is to call, say, well, Jackie, you just got a call from...
Oh, yeah, I got a call from Scott Allen at OVP this morning.
Of Ohio Valley Precision.
His balloon payment is either February the 1st or February, it's probably the 5th.
Okay.
And he wanted to know what you all were going to do, or what he needed to do on his loan.
So that's one we're obviously going to have to pay attention to right away. I do know David Zerby, who's also on this, who the loan is through Leland. He has also asked for a payoff. We have been able to, Alshon Schwartz in my office, has been able to get an amount as far as the payoff. Because he made pretty regular payments and it was a pretty easy thing. What we've come across is, for instance, on Mr. Linkmeyer, he would go and he paid, there was interest-only payments to begin with, and then there would be a time where he wouldn't pay, and then he'd pay a huge amount. And so our problem is trying to make, apply those payments, how they should be applied. And there are programs out there that can, help us do that. But right now, my opinion and my suggestion to you all is that you give me the okay to go ahead and ask Umball to get them organized, to get them set up so that we have an ongoing total for all of these old ones. And then at that point, I think we can look at if there are people that are past due or, that need more time, we can look at maybe, reorganizing the loan or maybe a little higher interest rate than original, or basically the bottom line is we want them to pay. So if there's going to be any concessions as far as when these people, because I know there may be more than one that maybe already supposed to have their balloon payment paid.
Well, I didn't put that on there because those are.
Mike, what was that again? I didn't hear.
I think there's quite a few of them.
Right.
My question, you confused me because you said Linkmeyer paid some big amount sometimes and when?
Well,
Because according to
for
this-
instance, there was, according to his note, and I just looked at it peripherally, I didn't delve into the file, but peripherally, he was supposed to pay a $285,000 payment, I think, at a lump sum time, and I think he made that payment, but then after that, he wasn't making the payments like he
Not according
was
to this.
supposed to.
Is that both
There's-
of them?
there's two of them.
Okay.
According to his documents, if you take his big one, his $3 million one, if he would've just paid the interest,
Which was just for the first year.
but if he would've just paid the interest up to now, he would've paid the city $240,000 in just interest. He's paid a total of $65,000
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe that was definitely one that's.
since 2010. And his other loan, which he had first,
2 million?
he hasn't made a payment whatsoever on that one since June of 2012.
I think that's the other one too.
And then the big one, he hasn't made a payment since May of 2012.
Okay.
And I got a question on,
To see I'm sorry, where the confusion comes in, like, what I was trying to, and maybe that was a bad one to use as an example, but what I'm saying is, each payment he's late, there's a late fee, and then the interest obviously is also created, to be able to figure out as a certain date what he owes, or that's where our office was having a problem.
Because, on this loan in particular, I had brought it up in the past about foreclosure, and it was said, that'd take 2 years, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't think it would've took 2 years, but we're 2 years and we haven't done anything.
Well,
And he's made 17 payments in 48 months.
This also is involved in the Paul Rowe,
Lawsuit.
we've been named as a defendant. We also we're working on an answer and a cross-claim, to be filed actually by tomorrow.
When was that filed? Because I had no idea.
Originally, it was filed in October, I believe.
So it was filed in October, and
I'm not sure. No, maybe November, because the extension of time gave him until January 30th to do an answer.
how come we didn't know about it before today?
what was that date again, Leslie?
It is, I'm not sure, like, when it was filed, I think it was November sometime.
And then I'm sure you're aware of all the liens.
Right. There's like 20 different defendants in that matter.
And now I believe there's a lot of federal liens, too, I believe.
I don't know about the federal, all I
Think
know
lately?
is the Roe case, is at the beginning of the case, and when we received the complaint, the only reason they named us is because of this mortgage. We don't have a dog in the rest of the fight as far as, the only thing that we need to protect is our priority in those liens, where our mortgage should fall.
Which, what I don't understand on Roe, well, I guess part of the road does go through a piece of property that there is a lien on from the city, because the city gives a partial release the old mayor for where the apartments sit,
Okay. Yeah, but there is still,
so the rest of the stretch.
and see, that's the difficulty too, because as far as, I was aware of the release, but how much of that mortgage goes towards the release part, and how much goes towards, so that's all gonna be hashed out within this lawsuit. It's just at the beginning stages, like I said. We have, an answer due by, we turned it into our insurance company, and they said it was not something that they would cover. And I know as far as in the ordinance, under my duties is to get you guys copies of any kind of complaints. My office is also working on all the current lawsuits, whether we're handling it in-house, or our insurance GIE is handling it. And I can get that to you probably mid-February.
So in that suit, the insurance won't even defend us?
No,
They won't pay?
no, just because it's mortgage, there's nothing to do, it doesn't trigger our insurance.
Okay, Steve Linkmar, on both loans, the way I went through and looked at it, he's behind in the payments, and he's only paid interest only. Is that correct, Jackie?
I don't know, I didn't bring my papers.
No, I think.
He's
the
paid,
first
that
year
one
he-
payment should be principal and interest, right?
Yeah, he paid, his payments, the first 12 payments were interest only. And then after that, there was interest in principal.
Okay, so.
But as far,
Do we have a principal amount,
No.
a balance?
no,
That's why we.
that's why,
pay him.
yes, exactly.
And
So
when.
basically, this meeting was to get the okay from you all to, well, to make sure, and I do have your packet, sorry about that, I didn't bring it with me, to do this organizational meeting so that we can get the help that we need to know what we're talking about before we go for any other loans. Now, the school board corporation is also here tonight to see if there's interest in any kind of loan for their project. And this is something that had to happen pretty quickly because of their timeline for the new gym project. And also, if there has to be some type of bond instead of a loan, the time is rolling on that deadline too, so. But I guess back to the organizational part, I guess I would entertain a motion if you guys are okay with them all.
Decision.
Make a motion to proceed on the demonstrate that.
All in favor?
Can I accept that motion? That he attend our meetings?
Or someone from his office.
We have to keep us up to date.
Well, he will do monthly reports, but I will,
Want to add that to your motion, Jim?
We can have a report anyway.
Well, I think we need somebody present that we can talk to.
Probably the first meeting we heard it all. I get the question asked.
It doesn't necessarily have to be Dan, it could be one of his assistants.
Add it in there.
Okay.
Okay, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it.
I will do it with him right away.
Okay, I have a question. What do I tell Mr. Allen, because he expects a phone call tomorrow?
And which one was that one, Jackie?
That's OVP, Ohio Valley Precision. He's up to date on his payments as far as I know.
Yeah, his
But
one is good.
his balloon payment is in about probably a week.
Well, it says if he's up to date, then.
Can he continue just
Well,
making his
okay.
payment for the time being?
Okay, are you guys, or has anybody considered raising the interest rate?
Well, we
That
can
was,
do
but
that.
just telling, so I should tell him, just keep making his payments?
He's up to date.
He's up to date, okay, that's what I'll do, no problem,
And I would
As
think
far
in
as-
the next month to 2
Okay.
months, we could,
yeah.
because I've said before, I think the people that's been banking their payments, because it's hard to borrow money for business, should work with them and help them extend those loans,
Well, his worry was,
but
like,
maybe look at.
yeah, his
the
worry
interest.
was that the city was gonna come along and say, okay, you've got to make that balloon payment, he wasn't gonna be able to either get the money or he was gonna have to scurry to get the money. And I said, I didn't think that would be
So
happening.
we'll probably need a motion.
Yeah, 'cause he done a very nice job
Okay.
making this payment.
Mhm.
And that was
we can have Jackie inform him just to keep making this.
You want me to make a motion?
Please.
I'll make a motion that, Ohio Valley Precision can continue for the time being, making their current monthly payments until the board makes a final decision on what to do on the future as well.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Jackie?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that there's several other that,
What?
maturity has passed, so I would assume that they've just continued to do.
yeah.
But they-
He's the only one that's really called.
What about as far as payments is what he's asking?
Oh, with their
I'm
payments?
sure that there've been other ones that have matured. and-
Well, I don't know, Peter Zaharikos is probably due because he's asked. And I don't know who some of
I haven't
looked, and I don't have a list of what the maturity dates are.
Right, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
this is the first time we've discussed it in over 2 years, so I'm sure that other ones have matured. and
Yeah.
They've continued to do whatever they're doing, so.
Yeah.
If anyone calls, just say, hey, continue until,
Yeah.
until further notice.
Right.
Okay.
Do we
I have
know
a
when-
question on one of the loans here, which is for Poppy's, Brickyard, I think. By this paper, he's never made a payment?
I was asking Leslie before y'all got here if we had all the paperwork together, because I don't have it. I don't know if the agreements or anything had been typed up. He put his own money into the Brickyard, and then he came and asked for the city's money for the loan. Now, I haven't heard anything more from him, but I know that he won't be asking when he has to make those payments. He'll be expecting us to go to him.
I thought there was an agreement.
Oh, I don't know.
Before we keep talking about all the individual ones, some of these are paid off. I just wanted to make sure I'm looking at it right. Hummel is paid off, correct?
Who?
Hummel.
Yeah, he shouldn't be on there, is he?
Oh, I got 2 different ones.
Oh, okay.
And then,
One of Tri-State Carbonics is to Aaron.
Loan 1 to 2.3 million.
Yeah, that one's paid off.
Okay. And Mike's.
Mike's is paid off,
Okay.
and,
I think there's only 3 though.
I don't know if there's any more or not without seeing what files are missing in my office.
There was some of these.
Okay. I guess then, I will get them all on the ball, I'll make sure they have the guidelines. I guess if the school board is ready to make their presentation.
Before, he does, can I just say that if you're not aware, Jackie does know something on the true-up money today,
Oh.
but not a final number, but
The number,
it may not be very good, so you may not want to make any decisions today.
are you all listening? I got the true-up amount, but it doesn't look right to me, because they took that $5 million rebate off, and I don't think they should have. Leslie and I are gonna meet with Harriet, the controller, financial controller, what, Thursday, did you say? Thursday. I wanna double check the number before I tell it to anybody and it gets out in the public, because I don't know if it's exactly right or not, because it's way low, guys. Real low. Just so you all know
Hang
that.
on the top. Go ahead.
Your Honor, Counsel, thank you for allowing us to come and speak to you today. There's been some interest, and we wanted to kind of survey the council's interest to see if there was, we're kind of at the point where we are starting to get ready to go out and bid the project. And then from that point, we'll be starting to look at the bond process. but we wanted to approach the city council to see if there was interest in the city doing a loan versus going out and doing the bond project for that. So we've been having some communication with Leslie and Lisa have been communicating and having some discussions, and so we just wanted to survey to see if there was interest, to see if that's something we needed to potentially consider and pursue, or if we needed to go ahead and focus all of our time on the bond project. So that was kind of one. I know last night, I believe Leslie had presented also a separate agreement to you. Did not know if you had questions about that as well. So we're willing to answer questions related to both. Yes.
Deal last night.
We look for like a $8 million loan.
It would be the total project after the $4 million contribution to the project, then the remaining amount would be, I believe it's $8.99 million is what would be the remaining amount for the loan.
Is that minus the turf football field? I thought that
It is, it's in the agreement. If the agreement that was, I believe, Leslie presented last night specifically says that it is outside of that, yes.
So I thought it would drop it down to 8.1, my calculations.
We would still use that 8.99 for the entire, because we would put that money that was going towards that field turf into some renovations in the high school. So we would still apply that money towards related projects for the school. It would have nothing to do, though, with the field turf, which is specifically stated in that agreement.
So that money's gonna come out of the $3 million building fund now?
We have a rainy day fund, yes. We have a rainy day fund. It is, we're at about $2.5 million in our rainy day. So we are looking to utilize our rainy day for the field turf, but then also for other renovations within the high school as well. Because we know there's a dire need to start doing that.
Well, I guess the best place to start would be the letter of understanding, and this is something that will come up at our February 3rd meeting. It is pretty straightforward. There's an escrow agent, as I explained last night, to hold the grant funds in escrow. I guess, do any of you have any questions? Because both Colette and Jane Herman from Ice Miller are here. Have any questions about the letter of understanding?
I don't have a question on the letter. I have a question by the city doing this loan. It doesn't help property tax owners in any way, does it?
Well, depending upon what the interest rate would be on the loan, yes, it potentially could help taxpayers, because if we go out for a bond, and I'm going to refer potentially to Colette from Umball, she mentioned to me this afternoon, right now, if we were to go out for bonds, currently right now today, the interest rate would be 2.5%. Is that correct? So depending upon if we were able to secure a loan lower than 2.5% through the city, then that would be a savings to the taxpayers.
We want to save the citizens just the amount of interest.
That is correct.
Still, beyond that, there's not advantage one way or another for the citizens.
Correct. It would be the savings on that lower interest.
Unless, my intentions were that we could absorb their yearly payment and they wouldn't have to go out for property tax increase. And he said, and now listen to me, Mike.
I'm listening, but I listened last night too.
Yeah, I know, it may not be possible, but if possible, their first payment's not due till 2/15. And 2/14, if we can budget the money to cover that first year's payment, he won't have to go out to the taxpayers for the following year. And if we can do it the following year, you won't have to, if I'm explaining this right, Carl, you won't have to go out until the following year after that.
That's correct, depending upon what that amount would be in, that we would need to levy on that, which the approximate amount right now, we're estimating to be about $1 million a year is what we're estimating that amount to be. That's not, I understand that is Mrs. Pope's intentions. It's not, I'm not for or against or anything. I mean, we're here looking for, well, obviously I'm in support, but I mean, we're here first looking at the loan. I mean, we're here looking at the loan number one. I think that's a separate kind of something that you guys have to have as a discussion separate from the loan. We're just looking at the loan, looking to see if that's a consideration, because it would be a savings to taxpayers by a lower interest.
I guess, could you address that? I mean, how much lower and what?
Colette, you want to share maybe some savings?
Certainly, as Carl has described, I mean, if the school district were to issue bonds currently, the interest rate would be about 2.5%. And over the life of the approximate 10 years of that bond issue, the total interest expense would be about $1.4 million. So if the city were willing, for instance, to have a loan that was more at 1.25% or half of the 2.5%, that means that interest amount of $1.4 million would be cut down to something more like $700,000, just as an example.
So the 1.4 million for the bonds today, that 1.4 million would be what the taxes would go up by? I mean, I'm sorry.
That's the interest.
That's the total interest expense over the life of the bond issue. And as Carl said, the annual payments that are estimated for that bond issue would be at about $1.1 million for the next several years. And then when the other debt of the school district drops off, the payments would be at $1.6 million.
And what was that total amount?
$8.99 million.
Of borrowing.
Okay, but I think you still didn't answer her question, how much would the taxpayers' percent go up?
As far as the tax rate?
Right.
Okay. And we have estimated that the tax rate increase would be approximately 15 cents. This is what was presented at the public hearing based upon maximums, and that was assuming an interest rate as high as 4.44%.
15 cents
per $100 of net assessed valuation.
For $100.
Yes.
And at that meeting, they also had the Lawrenceburg average, which was 131.8 as far as the home value.
Yes.
Yes. It was approximately $81.20 on the 15 cent.
Exactly.
The average.
$81.20 that it could
Increase for that year.
for that year. That was even $114 almost to 21 cents.
As a maximum.
And the maximum, that's the maximum of the 4.4, is that correct?
Excuse me,
The
Leslie?
4.4, that's at the maximum?
Yes.
Would, at a 1.4, what would the 215 payment be, total payment for the year?
I'm sorry, could you say?
If we go ahead and let you do the 8.9 million, and we give it to you at 1.4%, what would the total payment for 215 be?
And that would be a calculation I would have to make. That isn't something that I know off the top of my head. But I do know that if the interest rate was more like 2.5%, the annual payments would be about $1 million per year.
So drop it a little bit, less than $1 million?
Yes, it would be less than $1 million.
And 215 would actually be less.
Because it's only half a year.
When you say 215, do you mean February 15?
No, I'm talking about
The year of 2015. because
Oh, okay,
that
I'm
first
I'm
year-
sorry.
Can I borrow this
Yeah.
one also? Because in that first one, it's only that half a year when the project
Right, that is
is showing on here. I think
the
that's.
first year that was
what it's looking
anticipated
at.
to be a half year of payment.
And what would that total be?
That would be something closer to about $603,000.
And we'd have to look at our revenue coming in for 214, and if we could possibly budget that payment, you know, where the school doesn't have to make the payment, then we could hold off on the taxpayers' increase.
Right. I mean, as you know, the budget for 2014 is already established and set, and that's part of, I mean, that is where the $4 million grant has been budgeted and so forth. But as you look to 2015, then that would be next year's budget. But yes, you could indeed, there could be such a mechanism set up that, you know, the first case would be if the city were able to contribute $600,000, or in the later years, $1 million to put toward the debt, then there would not be the necessity for the school district to levy property taxes in the debt service fund.
Outside of our old debt that we currently have.
Right, specifically for this project. We're speaking to this project, yes.
Correct.
Right. Right, and each year there could be that rolling effect, if you will, of going through that process, if that's something that the city and the school district were interested in pursuing.
Now, would that still be the case, Lisa and I had talked about, if the bonds had to go through and we were able to come to some type of agreement where we would buy the bonds, how would that play out?
And it could be the same sort of scenario, really. I mean, in a sense, for a traditional bond issue, you would go out to a bank or an underwriting firm to purchase the bonds in the bond market, and the payments would be X. Okay? What would be considering here in terms of the revolving fund loan would be that rather than going out to a bank, the school would come to the city, and you would serve as that lending agent, if you will. There would be lower annual payments, and let's say, I'll just throw out a number, let's say there's something more like $700,000 a year. Well, the same sort of mechanism could be utilized in each year. The city could consider, can we contribute $700,000 to the debt service on the bonds? And if so, there would not be any necessity to levy property taxes from the school district standpoint for this bond issue for this project.
So it's the same.
Yes. It's a matter of what is the source of that annual payment.
Which way do you think it should go, Leslie, a loan or bond?
Well, I think, from my understanding was, if they went through the bond process, we would have to have an agreement in place before they went out to the bond process to buy them at a lower rate, you know what I mean? So either way we go, whether we do a straight loan or we buy the bonds, there still has to be an agreement made pretty quickly.
Yes.
Right, the other additional savings would be the issuance of the bond. So there is a fee for the issuance of the bond, so that would be a savings by doing the loan versus doing the bonds, is there would be some additional savings that you don't have to issue than those, just as an FYI.
And that savings of issuance would be about $63,000.
Right.
So again, for savings to the taxpayers. But yes, in order to meet the construction timetable that the school has proposed and so forth, it would be necessary to have a commitment from the city in this regard about March 1st. So it is something, I mean, as you know, time is money, and so that's crucial from the school standpoint.
And Leslie, that commitment also includes for the $4 million grant. Because that's a big, we haven't really talked about that tonight, but that's a big piece of this too.
Right. Well, and I think, I mean, as long as everyone's okay with it, I think they've already budgeted the $4 million. You guys have already agreed to give it to them. So basically, the letter of understanding, and I mean, obviously, we would be working on interlocal after this meeting for the grant part of it. But I think everyone's in agreement that we do the letter of understanding, if I'm correct.
Everybody agree on that?
Okay.
So do we need a motion on that, or do we?
Well, we're meeting as a revolving loan fund committee today, and we didn't notice it any other way. So, yeah, we would need to wait till February 3rd, but I'll make sure that it's on the agenda. I'll get it to Connie by Thursday, so we can get it voted on Monday.
I don't know what the timeframe is when the school needs to know, but I'm in agreement with Jane on what she's suggesting.
And it's only if we can afford it.
Correct.
And with the revenue drop, which has been a major drop, I'm very sorry and saddened by that. But we could also, consider 1% or 0%. I mean, we'll be paying, if we pay it back, we're paying ourselves back the money we loaned out plus interest, which would build up our money in our loan committee, which, the money, like I said, will be coming back to us. And it'll just have to be looked at year to year. I mean, no guarantees.
Right, and that wasn't our intention as we came tonight. That was not our intention looking at that. Our primary intention is just seeing if there's an interest in the loan. It's our full intention to pay back the loan at this point. So, I mean, that's not what we are here asking for, is for you to consider the forgiveness. We're just asking, would you consider the loan at a low interest rate, potentially below what the bonds would be, so there would be an additional savings to taxpayers?
What would this board like to set the interest at? Any comments on that?
That's probably, do the loan first, I think you would.
Are we willing to do the loan first?
Where's the money coming from?
At this point, we don't have it.
Have to be broken, I'm saying, but, I mean,
We have to appropriate.
we just, 2 years ago, I don't know that.
And we do have 8.9 to appropriate. Right, Jack?
I'm sure Emma can find it.
There's not,
I don't know, the last time I looked, there was extra, there was more money than we needed in, than we need for 2014. So, and I don't really know the exact amount that it was over, but it's probably at least that much, if not more.
there's not a non-reverting
No.
for the loan.
Well, and as far as my whole thing, I think the 0%, I don't think you'd want to go down that far, because they have agreed, if you read the letter, with the $4 million grant, they've agreed that any interest would be ours. And in the same token, any interest that we're gonna have on this loan, that would come back to us. I think we're gonna need that for an operating, the revolving loan fund.
What percent? 1%? Was everybody in agreement, are willing to loan them the money?
You said, what is the loan?
The-
Bonds, 2.5.
It's around 2.5% currently right now.
And Leslie, Aaron suggested 1%.
1.5.
8.99 million.
Mike, you okay with that? Bill?
Only thing I can't say is about making the payment.
True. But, I mean,
Yeah, I wish I could read
And that's not, and I understand, that's not what we're not here asking for that.
I don't worry about the taxes, it says $81 will see most of us. We have a lot of people on fixed income.
No, I understand.
That's a lot for them.
Right.
And it's not fair the way it's set up anyway. Because, people in the city of Lawrenceburg, their property valued over $170,000, it won't affect their taxes at all. But anybody under that, it will affect their taxes. Greendale, anybody's property valued at $123,000 or over will not be affected, but the ones under $123,000 will be affected. So you're hitting that middle core again.
Now,
Who come up with
is
that
that correct?
Excuse me?
I don't know who come up with that law.
What you're describing is
The circuit breaker.
but these payments are within the property tax caps, as required.
And that's what they capped it at.
So,
You're
I mean, it upsets
this
me, 'cause I
estimated
won't
annual
have to
tax
pay it.
impact
I should have.
for anything over the 175,000, is that correct?
She's asking about what the property tax caps are. I think I have it in all the scenarios for each
So I think
one.
it's the very last page I
Yeah.
hand out for the public meeting.
Yeah,
people that are at the property tax cap will not be paying anymore as a result of this bond issue.
Asking what are the caps for Greendale, Lawrenceburg? Leslie's got it right there.
Yeah, definitely the average, absolutely. The average for Lawrenceburg is 131.8. Then it goes to 200.
It was cold in here last night, too.
That's why I doubled up tonight.
That's bad.
You just came in.
Smile.
Weather's still fine, so
I brought my own cup, got my own water.
We just lost Mark.
Oh, okay. He's doing okay, right? It should take time. Okay, just wondered. Yeah.
can't do this.
Did you find yours?
I think it's just cold in here.
Here you go. Here you go, right here. Here's the page. Is that what you want? Shows it's still Lawrenceburg. Because then the tax cap would not be those, the amounts for Lawrenceburg, for Greendale. Right. So the amounts would be the 172.2 and 126.6.
Repeat that again.
172.2 and 126.6.
The first is Lawrenceburg?
The first one is Lawrenceburg, yes, 172.2, and then Greendale is 126.6, and then with the,
$170,022.
right, $172,200, and then $126,600. And then with the proposed bonds, when you were to go for that, and remember again, that's at the approximate 4.4%, then it would be $148,200 for Lawrenceburg and $116,400 for Greendale.
I mean, with the statement before you gave the new numbers.
Talking about, that's with the proposed, when you add on, like the additional bonds onto it, because that's the additional tax, then that raises that, or lowers that threshold there, because it's gonna mean that once somebody has $148,200 they're paying in Lawrenceburg, they've hit their cap, their tax cap.
And that would be after you, if you were to go
If
forward.
we added the bonds, right. If we went out and had to levy that tax to the taxpayers.
And at the maximum level of the 4.44%.
Right.
Can you repeat those numbers then, under that scenario?
The Lawrenceburg would be $148,200, and the Greendale then would become $116,400. So that, what we're giving to you is the gross assessed valuation of homestead properties in both Lawrenceburg and Greendale. In other words, at what threshold are they hitting the cap?
And this is from the DLGF? Where are these numbers coming from?
These are calculations that we have made.
Unbalanced,
based upon-
calculated.
Okay, so.
And what was Lawrenceburg's number again, $148,000?
$200, yeah, $148,200.
$148,200.
Correct, and that's with, at the 4.4% if that's what we end up doing the bonds
So why
for.
would it drop at the percent, a higher percent rate than,
It seems like that might be, I mean,
they don't,
initially that looks like an advantage, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if the caps are at lower once the bonds are issued.
But it means that somebody, as you were kind of saying, somebody with a lower home value is going to be burdened with that tax versus if somebody has a $150,000 home or above, they're at their property tax cap, they're not paying that. So it's kind of like what you're saying is those ones that have a $100,000 home or they have a $125,000 home, they're the ones paying then that additional tax.
but with the,
That isn't fair, you're right.
well, that's what the state did. Okay, are we all in agreement to commit to a loan to Lawrenceburg Community, well, Lawrenceburg High School or?
Lawrenceburg Community School Corporation.
For 8.9 at 1%?
For a term of 11 years.
8.99.
Right. And I'm sorry to interrupt, and because the total then years, I don't know if you wanted to frame it up with that, would be over, the term of it would be an 11-year term.
11 years.
Non-forgivable loan.
And like I said, that's what we're looking at, yes. I mean, we understand that.
But if we can't assist, we may assist.
That's a discussion you guys have to have. Right, the agreement is just for an $8.99 million loan.
11-year term.
Correct.
First step.
That's your guys' decision also.
Get that done, and we'll worry about the future.
Right.
Is everyone in agreement with this?
Alright.
Let's take roll call vote on it.
Okay, hold on.
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
I know at one time you guys have talked about 12 years. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
There were
Was that one of the three proposals? Maybe it was
Different scenarios.
at the very first one that we proposed. I believe there were 3 to 4 scenarios and proposals that were
I'm just
presented.
curious what it would make if it went from 11 to a 12 on a tax.
It was an additional, I want to say $1 million in interest in addition, is I believe, off the top of my head, it was going to add $1 million in interest.
because the options that the school district considered range from 10 years to 17 years. And so through that, the decision was made to go with a 10-year bond issue with an 11-year lease. And from that, that's what was presented at the 1028 hearing, to present the maximum parameters. And so therefore, that's why this loan would have to fit within those parameters that have been spelled out.
Been resolved by the
Right.
corporation.
Right.
Yeah, we already voted on that.
Correct.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Jane?
Yes.
Okay. Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Sure.
Mike? JR?
Yeah.
Okay. It's unanimous.
Now, we just give you this gift, or you're gonna be easier on us from tip area.
I know that is something that is still that we need to discuss.
Well, it's not a gift yet.
They get it, it is.
We greatly appreciate your consideration to help the school corporation and the taxpayers of the school corporation as well.
Forward to my question.
So, I said it was still a discussion that we still need to have, so. Other questions we are hoping to have, I know that there were a few of you that did attend a meeting where we presented some of the floor plans and some of the diagrams. We are hoping to have, the end of next week, a large kind of visual that we can put out at games of floor plans and kind of an exterior that people will be able to start seeing and asking questions about kind of the floor plans and visual of that. But you're welcome at any time. Please contact me if I can assist in any way. If you want specific questions or if there's something I can show you, please don't hesitate to contact me at any time.
I got one question. It's not relative to the loan, but graduation, has anything been decided on with the 2014 class to graduate?
It was a topic during our last board meeting that I had brought up that we were considering the convention center. Unfortunately, we just received word this week that the construction of the convention center will not be finished by the 1st of June, so therefore the convention center is not an option for us for graduation. So the seniors are actually doing a survey this week, and I'm supposed to have those results by the end of the week, and they're looking at different scenarios, everything from, I mentioned, the middle school, we mentioned the football field, the soccer field, and different venues that they can bring up. So we're trying to get input from the seniors, and then they're supposed to present that information to me by the end of the week so I can share it with the school board so that we can start to kind of look at some plans for that. So I don't have an answer other than I know the convention center is not an option at this point because of construction deadlines and everything at that point. Okay, you're welcome.
The only other thing, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, there will have to be a separate corporation set up, is that correct?
Jane might be able to, yes.
Second read it.
This is Jane Hurden with Ice Miller.
To go stand over here, I guess. As many of you know, governmental entities in the school, just like the city, has a constitutional debt limit, and they can only borrow a certain 2% of their assessed valuation. So because of that, this will have to be some kind of loan to a building corporation, basically a not-for-profit type corporation, who will enter into a lease with the school corporation. So the school will each year levy, now it sounds like just principal and only 1% of interest then, make that payment to the building corporation, who will turn around and make the payment to the city through any kind of documentation that the lawyers work out.
Great, thank you for explaining that better than I could. And you've already done that, like in your past projects, right? I mean, I think with the primary.
We have outstanding debt on the primary school right now, but yes.
Okay.
But potentially we may set up a different building corp just so that they're not they're separate and that way they're not blurred together.
I just wanted them to be aware when those documents do come down, it's not going to be.
Right, it'll come from what's called the Lawrenceburg Building Corporation is what it would look like.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to say thanks for your consideration for the loan and also for the $4 million grant that I guess you'll finalize your next meeting. Just sorry we couldn't talk to the other city and the other entity into giving them money, but I felt like they probably could have, but.
Why shouldn't they? Benefit off us all.
I understand. We don't control them, we don't try to run their business, we just let them decide what they need to do.
Do you think there's any future and any
I think
possibility of
I think they
payments?
have talked like they may revisit it, but.
Because I would say they could pay the debt service, just like we did, right?
Correct. They could contribute towards it.
That would be great.
That sounds
if
like a
they'd
plan.
be willing to do that.
Well, I know.
Well, again, all we can do is ask. We don't sit on their
I
board.
think they should. They've got just as many kids in school as we got. They should pay something.
We told them they had 50% students as well as one.
You know, it's going to be, that's all along, we're going to pay it again. Guess what, people? The money's getting short, a lot of small stuff.
I understand. And we just appreciate the loan at the low interest rate, so we greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
There's no better economic development than invested in our children and our schools.
We appreciate that. We appreciate you considering that.
There's last order of business if everyone's done with the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
According to our guidelines, there has to be an election of a vice chairman. As you know, the chairman is the mayor, a vice chairman and a secretary. I don't know that when we originally did these guidelines that we expected common council to be the committee, so I think the logical choice would be that Jack would be the secretary, but I don't know.
I'm not on it.
Shut up! I'm gonna smack you. Give me that.
You can't touch the president.
Yes, I can. Watch me.
$5 fine.
And then as far as
I'll
advisory.
pay your goddamn fine.
Oh, that's normal.
I don't think we have a city.
God.
No, leave it right here.
No, I'll take it away from you.
I nominate Mike Lawrence to be vice chairman of the loan committee.
Second.
You're not allowed to vote.
Second then.
All in favor?
Aye.
All good? Yeah.
I think that's it. Basically, if the chairman can't make it, the vice chairman will chair the meeting, and if neither one, then the secretary will chair the meeting, so.
Can I bring up one more thing? I went back looking at this poppy, because it actually matured June of 2013, and he's never made a payment.
Oh, it did?
Yep.
Oh,
I would like to make a motion that people that are not making their payments, that there is a letter sent to them giving them 30 days to come current, or this city or loan committee is going to start foreclosure procedure.
Who we talking about?
Everyone that's not making their payment. I mean, we got,
There's 3 or 4.
this one is matured June of 2013 and has never made a payment.
Well, what are we talking about now, Mike?
Poppy, Brickyard,
No payment whatsoever?
No.
none.
He's paid,
Not
he's got
according to
2
what-
different loans, he has paid on the other loan.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been,
which he's way behind on it too.
Well, why don't we do this, Mike, and this is just a suggestion. I understand it shows that there's no payment since June of 2013, but wouldn't you rather have Umball get us the numbers and organize it before we send out those letters?
I don't really think for people that's not making payment.
When's our next meetings? I mean, I need to look through these more
They're not-
thoroughly.
they're not.
they work on Poppy.
I think at first we
I
need to do
just-
it on a monthly
Get them all
basis.
set up first. And set up meetings.
Or at least send them a letter that our next loan meeting, when it is,
Be there.
and that we're going to start proceedings for anybody that are not making payments.
Okay. He's only supposed to pay interest, yearly interest.
Yeah, with a maturity. And then
I just
Yeah,
don't want
no,
to,
I-
I don't want to put anything in more in that letter
But he wants
because I'm just not
to make
confident in
payments,
our
I mean,
numbers, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to put any more in that letter than just to say, we have, this committee is meeting on a regular basis and we are reviewing your loan, please be aware,
Because,
that,
just like the Linkmeyer thing, the more liens that are coming,
Yeah.
especially when they're federal and stuff, and
You got a couple of these coming in?
that's what I've been told. If you can, they said you can look it up, and there's a bunch of, about $100,000 worth, what I've been told. So, I don't know.
He's not making payments, doesn't he? He's not making
Okay.
payroll tax.
It took me a while, and you're not doing that.
But that should, they
What,
should
read all these?
catch them that quick.
Fine, like, wait, she gets the material back.
Are we coming up with a meeting date for?
Oh,
I know, I got
I think it's gonna wait.
quite a few done,
Okay.
but,
We got some idea of what's going on.
it'll be better organized.
so your motion, are you going to send a motion or do you want us to send something out
I
just to
think we
say
should
that
at
we're
least
meeting?
send something
Okay.
that at least states that, anybody that is not making their payment, this board
Will be
is going
discussing.
to
look into.
proceed, right, look into proceedings.
Yeah.
Do you think what'll happen in the next meeting?
If they're, it's
I mean, it
public.
should be here. Yeah.
That's why I said if we could put a date in when our next meeting, if they wanted to attend. But-
So we don't know. Well, after we find out Lumbo, we can set up a meeting and send letters out, say, attend this meeting.
Well, can we just give Leslie the authorization when she gets date with UMBA to put the letter together and put that date in there and?
Sure. Because, I'll let them know, I don't know that they know what they're getting into. I did tell them that there was probably, I think I told him 12 or, I think I told him about 15, but there's 18, so.
Because, people that are, trying,
Right.
and even, there's some in here that are great.
Okay, so letter sent to
Those
letter,
would help them.
it's once estimate from Umball as to when they can tell us the numbers, right? That's-
Okay, you may put that in motion. You put that in motion, right?
All right.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Okay,
All right,
so,
And
you want to repeat that?
Yeah, we only want the letters sent to the ones that are not in the areas, the ones that are
I think we
current.
should send it to everybody.
After
Send it to
Leslie
everybody.
gets
Yeah.
up,
Let them know we're aware.
that you
Date
send,
from
for
UMBA.
those not
Yeah.
making the payments,
Committee.
that
Proceedings.
we're gonna look into and
Why don't you
possibly
sign-
start
you sign
something.
a contract?
Okay,
You don't pay nothing for your estimate, go ahead. You can live in your house and don't sell on that one.
I know. You did it on your
That's
utilities,
the
you
thing.
need to get by for a month.
After a few months, you're done.
Yeah, 6 months you're out.
And then, now, I got one more question. This one company in here, it's in West Harrison?
3S, Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is that? What is it?
I don't really know. That was one of Mr. Steigel's things.
Because I thought it was all.
They were in West Harrison. No, they initially moved into West Harrison, and then, what?
Is that box company up here?
I don't know. And then they moved,
I think it's something to do with fire
I don't have a clue what it is. I couldn't tell you.
Entertain a motion, John.
So moved.
All in favor?
Less than what you tell us, we didn't have to do all this
Seen
work.
some kind of fire or
Oh.
something.
I don't know.
Maybe fire alarm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I can do, when I know it. I'll probably measure it. That I will, ask.
But like the, you know, the home furniture people,
Yeah.
they've done a good job.
A lot of
Ohio
them.
Valley Precision.
Yeah.
This will bring a lot of money back into the city if we get this moving.
You too. Fire.
Didn't Hedgerow come and say, didn't he say that in a meeting that
only
they would
66.
contribute whatever they get from the boat, like $1 million?
I don't know.
If Lawrenceburg gave all their gaming money.
All the
If Lawrenceburg gives their gaming money,
That's back when the project was $54 million.
And then the second thing he said was that he has no problem with Greendale giving, but first it should go to a referendum to make sure that that's what the people want.
Right.
And by us giving them the $4 million grant, hindsight 2020, we probably should have waited for a referendum.
Still can.
Still, it ain't, the days are gone, you have to have a, if I only had 30 days to get 100 petitioners, stop it.
I know that.
Still, public didn't get a chance to speak.
I got some.
Why did you say that? Why didn't you tell us that before?
I think I just repeated what Mike said.
Mike wanted a referendum.
Yeah, Mike said let them.
But we knew it would fail.
Yes, I'm not so sure it would.
And he said, we're looking at it, and
Actually, nobody filed a remonstrance on the 7 point or 8.99.
At, you know, at first I thought it would, but honestly, I
The
think.
four vote.
it was 1% of 10%. And,
Was
he
it
said
too
that's what
late?
we're basing our numbers on. And that means we get.
But because I haven't heard,
It may not be too late.
Order that, look at the right up. So it's even worse. And I said, and I said that last, I said, well, I don't think that if they're gonna receive either, it would be called, you know? And I said, but that's the thing,
Correct.
that's our percentage.
Yeah.
You have X amount of dollars.
Right.
That's what we get. And, it wasn't, I was like, look.
I got all these guys done, that's all I got done.
That's fine with me. You don't, fine with me.
Highlights.
All right, I got 2 cents in, I'm telling you what we did. That's up to you guys.
Right.
But that's the one it was based off of.
You take that?
It was percentage.
We get in trouble.
And I'm like, wow.
We don't really stop.
But that's the thing, is, are you gonna base off percentage? That's the easy way. That's the easy way out. In my book. That's the thing. Now, is there